All right, give me 15 minutes and I'm going to give you about, I think, 30 years of advice that will help you out as you go through your journey. This is particularly useful for young men like myself. I'm 26. If you're younger than 26, this will definitely be useful to you. And I think that these lessons will be will be useful throughout all of your life. So let's get started. There will be times in your life, similar to myself right now, where you think that there's no help. There will be times where you feel as if the world is on your shoulders and that you have to deliver on various things, whether that's work or taking care of your wife or the household. And it doesn't matter what the circumstance is. The circumstance could be that your wife is sick. The circumstance could be that your children aren't listening in the household or that they're going through their own things. It could be that your parents are dying. It really doesn't matter what the circumstance is. But these next talking points I'm going to go over should help you throughout your life, regardless of what you're going through. So number one, you feel as if the cavalry is not coming. And you're right. The cavalry is not coming. There is no help. There is no one that's going to save you from whatever you're experiencing. But this is why we need Jesus. And this is common. It's okay to feel not only alone, but stressed out in whatever you're dealing with. It's normal to feel as if there's no one that can help or is going to help. This is why a community of men is so important. Because when talking to men who understand who God is, who understands where our help comes from, who understand that there's more to life than just numbers in terms of credit, in terms of dollars, in terms of what we spend, it's important to be around those types of men and to have a community, a strong, faith-filled community, so that when bad things happen, you don't fall apart. Because as men, as all of us understand and know, we cannot fall apart. And even though the cavalry is not coming, even though the help is not coming, we still have to hold fast and hold firm and continue to fight. And for those who may not understand, cavalry, the cavalry is when before we had cars and vehicles and modes of transportation in the army in 1876 or whatever times you want to think of, there was always a unit, a specified unit of men who rode horses and had lances and poles and spears along with swords and guns and whatever else. And they came on horseback as reinforcements to obliterate the front line of whatever army was fighting. The cavalry was always the reinforcement that was called back in ancient times, or back in the day, for when a battle needed to be resolved and for when basically heavy hitters needed to be initiated. And so cavalry has always been used as a term of reinforcements. And again, for men, there will be periods in time where you feel as if the cavalry is not coming, and oftentimes you will be right. You are the cavalry. You are the heavy hitters. And so when you go down, there is no one else that can save you. There's no one else that can help, except for Jesus. And I say that strategically. And for those of you who don't believe, go ahead and click on to the next video. But for those of us that understand that the weight of the world is on our shoulders, it's necessary for us to know who God is. Because we are only human and we are limited in our capacity and what we can handle. Some men can handle a great deal of pain over a long period of time. Others, that pain is too great in the short period, and so we need a lot of help. There will be periods in your life where you will feel as if you're carrying 400 pounds across 4,000 miles of terrain. There will be periods of time where you will feel as if you will have to carry your partner. There will be times when you will have to carry your partner and your children. There will be times when you will have to carry yourself and manage your own expectations about life. And let me give you a tangible example. There will be times when your wife may be emotionally unavailable, spiritually and physically just not there or present. And the house still has to run. The bills still have to be paid. The goals that you've set out in terms of either paying off credit card debts or paying off loans, those things still have to be done. Food still has to be made. If you have small children, the children still have to be taken care of. The children don't understand or know what suffering or pain looks like, and they don't have the capacity to care for themselves. And so you must be the cavalry, the reinforcements, to make sure that these things still take place. There are projects that you must deliver on at your job and so life must continue to move forward. Without God, this becomes significantly more tiresome and more burdensome than what it needs to be. The reason why we need Christ is because Christ understands what it means to carry his own cross. He understood what it meant and what it means to walk leagues and miles and distances while only carrying a burden that no man can really bear. And what you'll find throughout life, for those of you who believe and those of us who practice, is that when these periods come, what separates Christian men from others is that our ability to continue and move forward is not based on a desire for more resources or more money. Our ability to push forward is not determined by just wanting more for our children and our families. The Bible says that even the wicked take care of their families, that even the wicked love their children and their sons and their daughters. So what separates us from them? What separates us is knowing where our help comes from, and specifically understanding that our ability to move forward and push past obstacles comes from something that's greater than ourselves. If you've ever had to carry a weight or pressure or feel an unyielding pressure, you understand what I'm talking about. It's continuous. It's unrelenting. It's something that will not give yield and will not give way just because you want something different, just because you want something more. And that's where Christ comes in. Jesus strategically comes in, not only when we're down to uplift us, but it's the way that he uplifts us. The method in which Christ uplifts men who follow him, men who obey him, men who do their best to understand his concepts, his precepts. The way that he uplifts us is through strategy. And let me be very specific when I say this. When the family is down, when the wife is out of commission, and when you have to carry your children and your weight, it's not as much about willpower as much as it is about the strategy that you implement. So for example, when your wife is emotionally not there, regardless of what the circumstance may be, you must implement the strategies to make sure that your house still runs. And so if that means that you set a schedule for when the dishes are done, or when you must clean the house, or when you have to schedule time to speak with her, to get her out of whatever dark place she may be in, these are all things that come from God. And what you'll discover is that God is the one who will impart on you the wisdom and the strategy to be able to move forward. It's not something that you can create organically. It's not something that you can think of, but it is something that is organized and something that comes from above that will help you through your trial. And so I'll give a tangible example with myself. There are times I've recently gone through a miscarriage, obviously not physically myself, but my wife and I. And my wife has been it's been hitting her very, very hard. It hits me hard as well, but I don't have the time or the capacity to be able to sit there and think about my own emotions. I have to make sure that she's okay. The strategies that the Lord has given me has been basically threefold. The first is that setting aside time, specific periods of time, for me to focus solely on my wife has been critical. So there are times we have to go to work, times we wake up to go to the gym, times that we set aside for special projects, etc. For me, the Lord gave me a strategy to set aside about 2 hours or so, if not every single day, at least once every 3 days. Not only to check on her and make sure that she's okay, but to spend time with her, to ask her how she's doing, to talk through her with her feelings, going on really more of an emotional journey than what I'm typically used to, but working through little by little the thoughts, the feelings, the anxieties, the worries, the anger, the doubt, working through all of that like dough. And if you've ever had to work with dough, it can be very, very tedious and very, very tough. But kneading dough and going through, I forget the dough example, just working through the issues, it becomes very, very important to do that. And so that is a strategy that the Lord gave me in that part, in terms of making sure that my wife has emotional support, and that we work through our issues not just by feeling good or by distractions, but by actually working through and figuring out what is going on. The second strategy that he's given me is to seek professional help where applicable. I don't necessarily believe in therapy for myself, but we did get a therapist in this case because it is something that I knew that my wife would need. And so going through that, I went and researched a therapist for both of us. I sat with her through that therapist session for about the first 4 or 5 sessions. I continued to do so, but I scheduled and I had the therapist work with me and for me to have specific times where not only I'm sitting with her and working through all of those emotions and those feelings and those doubts and those concerns, but where the therapist can also talk with her individually one-on-one so that she can express whatever thoughts she may have. That way, we're again strategically tackling and going through the feelings and going through the motions and going through the pain to make sure that she's becoming better over time. The third strategy is just setting, and this was the easiest, honestly, being on top of all the medical records and being on top of all of the medicines that she had to take was very easy for me. So going through and creating calendars for when we meet with doctors, making sure that I follow up with the doctors personally, getting their information, understanding the medicine that she takes, understanding the everything that she needed to take to be healthy is another strategy that I had to implement. And so what I'm trying to convey is that you will feel down. You will feel like the cavalry is not coming, and you're right. But that is why you need Christ more than anything, so that way he can give you the strategy to overcome your obstacles. It's not always a matter of effort, and it's not always a matter of carrying your burden for a period of time. Sometimes it's a matter of understanding that the trials will end and that God is going to give you tools to overcome your obstacles. And oftentimes we ask for a lighter load. But what I want you to pray for specifically is for a renewed strength and greater power to overcome the obstacles. And that strength won't come from you, and you'll realize it. It won't come from your determination. It won't come from your will or your drive. It will only come from God, and he'll give you the energy little by little, piece by piece, to make sure that you can take care of business and make sure that your family is in order. And what it looks like in practice is, it looks like moving and progressing forward. I don't have any other way to describe it than that. It looks like progress, even if it's slow, even if it's painful. It looks like you going throughout your day, coming home dead tired, sleeping for about 4 hours, waking up and doing the same thing again, day after day after day, and realizing for the first quarter that you're not dead. And then by the second quarter, realizing that if necessary, you have just a little bit more in the tank that you can provide. By the third quarter, you'll realize, I can do this. And whatever the end looks like, I have enough energy to get us there. And the fourth quarter is overcoming that obstacle, overcoming the challenge. The family is healed, the family is well, everything is moving the way that it should be, either the way that it was before or even better than it was before, and you're stronger for it. That end phase is just strength, and it's overcoming the obstacle. And for men, that understanding that is critical, because oftentimes people pray for a release of a burden. Oftentimes people pray for something to end. But typically when you read through the Word of God, the way that God creates strong men is by having them go through something. And so praying for the avoidance and praying for the delivery and praying for the cavalry to come when you are the cavalry is basically asking not to grow. In whatever season you're in, whatever trial you're overcoming, I want you to understand that, because in order for you to become strong, in order for you to be better than you were before, you must go through obstacles. And whatever that obstacle may be, no matter how hard it looks like, no matter what tears you may cry, you will come out stronger now than when you were before. But in order to do that, you must rely on God, and you must keep moving forward, because you are the cavalry. And what you'll find in the season is that whatever you're dealing with, may not make sense, and it's not supposed to, and that's okay. What matters now more than ever is that you follow God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind, that you rely on him to give you the strength that's needed, and he will give you the strength again by giving you the strategy that you need to implement to overcome your obstacle. And once you have those things, it's just a matter of continuing to move forward. Because so long as you are moving forward and you're not dead, you're above the grave. And so long as you're above the grave, you have not lost yet. The Bible says when night cometh, no man can work. It doesn't mean when the sun goes down, because even in ancient times when the sun went down, people could still theoretically work, even though it would be more difficult. When Jesus says when night cometh, no man can work, he talks about death. And so long as you are still alive, so long as you can breathe air in your lungs, you still have a chance. So I want you to go, whatever you're dealing with, take the time to breathe, take the time to talk to God, allow him to give you, and I want you to pray for strength and pray for strategy to overcome what you're dealing with. And what you'll find is that he'll give it to you. And once he gives it to you, I want you to implement it every single day until we get to stage 4, quarter 4, where the end of the game is near. You're stronger than you ever were before. You went through things you didn't know you could go through. And he carried you not only by encouraging you, but by giving you a strategy to overcome your trials. This is why we follow God. This is why we follow Christ, because he's not just a good feel, a goody two shoes, gummy bear, type of God that helps us when we're in our times of trouble. He does, but the method and the way in which he helps us, particularly men, is centered around strategy. It is centered around solutions. It is centered around going beyond and thinking beyond what is in front of us at the time and moving forward knowing that so long as we are above the ground, we are okay. If this was useful, hit a like for the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. We appreciate you. We thank you. We love you. Y'all have a good one.